So next up, we turn to what is perhaps one of the most discussed topics when it comes to leadership. But there's still so much work to be done. This is a topic I'm personally passionate about. Our next speaker has not only served as a role model and mentor to many women in STEM, but she's also a major advocate for women's empowerment and workplace diversity. Please join me in welcoming to the stage the Executive Vice President of Market Development at Mastercard for Eastern Europe, the Middle East, and Africa, Amnah Ajmal. Thank you. So thank you, Amnah, for joining us today. I know this is a topic you speak about a lot, so I'm actually really excited to start this discussion with you. So maybe to start off, we could talk about, while it's very difficult to generalize, what are the unique qualities that women bring to leadership roles?
So first of all, thank you for having me here and for having me for this topic. I know whenever event organizers reach out, they would look at my role and it would be a topic of AI or blockchain or tech. And I usually have to force myself in to talk about this topic. So congratulations on bringing it top of your agenda. And also seeing a very well-balanced room, great women speakers. So congratulations and well done. I think there are three traits. So I'm in a technology financial services industry, so maybe my view is very much biased, but I also look after clients in 80 countries across the region in retail, hospitality, tech, fintech, buy now, pay later, crypto houses. So I can see that it's almost a similar trend. It may be exaggerated in some industries. There are three traits, agility, curiosity, and self-confidence, and I will unpack each in a minute. Agility, because whatever I studied in my academics or even the first decade of my job is no longer relevant, right? I would say in some cases it may have an application, like I'm a software engineer, so COBOL and Pascal is no longer used, but maybe it helped me have a technical mindset to understand technology better today. But it's not that it's really adding value to what I do in my job or even to me as a leader. So unlearning and relearning is a great aspect of, it's positive and it's negative. It's positive, you can say that, oh, you know, everybody is on a level playing field. It doesn't matter what you did, right? It's negative in a way because for human beings, unlearning is not that easy. So you have to have that mindset of whatever I learned, I need to unlearn it and I need to relearn it and I need to remain relevant. I think that's very, very important. More so for women because many of them drop out of workforce to raise family and then they come back. The world has completely changed, right? Your past experience is not relevant anymore. Second, I would say is curiosity. I think more and more organizations who are driving innovation, they have started to rethink about hiring and promotion, and it's not necessarily based on your past experience or your past achievements, but it's more on your potential to actually question the status quo, to be able to rethink the current processes or the current products. That needs to have a different kind of a mindset. I don't think so it's a certification that you can do at a school. It's your, go back to your childhood. I mean, if you have kids, just look around, you know.
Yeah.
I have this famous story which everybody should read about. It's got nothing to do with digital transformation, but I think it drives a very important point home. It's a story by my famous author, Paulo Coelho, you know, who talks about a Zen Buddhist who is a monastery and he's having a cat next to him because he likes the cat. He passes away, his disciple takes over his position, he keeps the cat to honor the memory of the master. Now thousands of years pass by and people keep on replacing the cat, and eventually there were theories that people are meditating and they're having great peace and Zen because of the cat. 1,000 years later, a master comes and he was allergic to animal hair and he's like, why is the cat there? And he got rid of the cat, right?
Yeah.
And then people realized, oh, it doesn't make any difference in meditation. Cat or no cat, we meditate the same way. But the point of the story is it took 1,000 years for someone to come and question why is the cat there, right? So I always encourage people to challenge the status quo. Innovation is not about the next app, about the next AI use case, about the next blockchain use case. It's also about looking around in your corporations and your own business and saying, why does this product exist? The world has moved on. Last thing for women would be self-confidence. And I'm very blessed and fortunate. I have an 80% leadership team who's women. I mentor a lot of women. And you would notice women would start a sentence and say, I'm not sure if it makes sense, knowing very well it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I didn't get that. Well, you didn't get it. Maybe no one else in the room also got it. Or it may be a stupid question, but let me ask, knowing very well you're about to ask a very smart question. So I think these are all signs of lack of self-confidence. I always say that's extremely, extremely important.
But
Don't
you
leave a
think
room without making a comment, without your voice being heard, without you being visible. Have that confidence in you. And I think that goes back, we can talk hours about it, to the way girls' upbringing is done.
Exactly, that's what I was going to talk about, because I don't know, maybe it's a societal thing, a cultural thing. Women tend to make themselves smaller when they're intimidated. So I was just wondering if that's more of a self-confidence thing or if it's a cultural thing.
I think it could be both. I see it the way, like, I was raised, I was told a lot of things that I can't do, and I kind of rebelled. I'm like, okay, I can do everything. It almost happened the opposite way for my sister. That wasn't the case. But I would say that be aware of it. That's a very important thing, because the kind of information in terms of social media platform that we have access to, we did not have even 5 years back, right?
Yeah, that's
so
true.
read about it, right? If you think self-confidence is not an issue, read about it, and you may start observing yourself, and you're like, no, actually, it is an issue.
Definitely. I mean, look, you've achieved some really incredible stuff, especially where you are today. I mean, congratulations to you. But if we could maybe take it back a bit earlier in your career, how difficult was it to get started and sort of rise up the ranks at the beginning?
So I've worked in Europe, Asia, Middle East, and US, right? And I would say in different parts of the world, at different stages in your career, and I've always been in financial services, running a P&L, or in tech now, the challenges have been different. But if I have to draw a consistent theme, I think early on in my career, because I was in my 20s and I got a big, massive leadership role with Citigroup, managing their largest organization in Europe, managing hundreds of people and a P&L. I got that role in my 20s, which people get it in their 40s. And I looked much younger.
And as a woman.
And I was a woman. And I looked different. I was brown skin, black hair, black eyes, in a country like Poland, which is amazing. It's the best experience of my life. But I don't speak the language. I look different. I talk different. I'm not belonging to the same age group. So how do I get the job, right? So that was, and then I can recall many incidents, and some incidents are as recent as, like, I would say a few months back, and they continue to happen, which point to my gender. But I would say the great thing and the great progress that we have made is, I notice it now, and so do the other people. So I'll give you 2 examples. When I was living in Europe, a CEO of a big multinational who was my client, he was coming to see me in my office, and I was at my assistant's area writing a post-it, and he came over and handed me over his coat because he just assumed I was assistant, right?
Oh my
So
God.
I took over his jacket and I hung it. I came inside, and he's like, no, I'm good. I don't need any tea or coffee. I was like, okay, fine. Never mind tea and coffee, but you're here to meet me, right? I'm talking that incident 18 years back. Right? Has the world changed? Yes, because I think people have more awareness. But I was giving a keynote speech, I think beginning of this year, a room filled with like 300 plus people. I gave the speech, I went out, and a gentleman walked towards me, must be in his mid-60s, very well-established banker. He came to me and he said, first you walked on the stage, I was like, what can this girl teach us? And I immediately took out my phone and I'm like, it's a good time to clean my emails. And then you started talking, oh, wow, you have a lot of content. This was like probably the best speech that I attended. I took it as a compliment, but it was again a reminder for me also that there is so much to be done to be changed. Like, why would I walk on a stage and I would start from -10 and work my way towards 0, whereas a man would walk on the stage and worst case, he starts from 0.
It's more like you have to gain that respect, but with some people, they just have it and they can lose it or gain more. It's a weird starting point. There is that unintentional sort of bias, I guess. But There has been a lot of progress. I mean, if we could maybe switch to, okay, this might be a controversial thing for a lot of people, but in the panels I've moderated or any interviews I've done with women on this subject, there was always like an issue with addressing, okay, men are supporting women now. I mean, I'm generalizing now, but there seems to be an issue between women supporting other women. And I think that is something that also needs to shift as well for women to finally rise up the ranks.
So I would say that it is changing and there's more awareness about it, but I still think, and I would agree with you, there's more work to be done in walking the talk. I would feel very uncomfortable here sitting with you at this stage and talking about diversity and inclusion when I go back to my office and my leadership team is 90% men. Mm-hmm. I just don't feel I can do that because I don't feel I would be true to myself. I would be authentic to myself as a leader and to the people that I lead, right? So I think walking the talk is a long way to go. I feel more and more women are acknowledging it now that once they have that position of power, it's not really about big things. I do get it when people say it's hard to have an equal slate, a great policy that we have at Mastercard. It's about how much you are willing to go, how much of perseverance you have, how much passionate you feel about it. Mm-hmm. Like if I have a role that is vacant for a year because I am looking for a diverse candidate, I'm suffering.
And you did mention actually in an op-ed you wrote for Arabian Business recently that AI can help eliminate that.
Well, I do think I'm a very passionate believer in AI being a force of good because I think there are two things which are very important for you to be as successful leaders, and we saw great leaders today talk about different things. One is confidence with content. I can be confident, but I don't know my stuff, I don't know my industry, I don't know the business I talk about. It's like empty confidence doesn't do anything. People are able to see through it pretty quickly. The confidence with content. How do you learn content in today's world? It used to be so difficult 10 years back if I had to understand about an industry. Today I look after logistics, retailers, hospitality, fintech. I mean, how do I keep myself relevant? It's very easy in today's time, right? Mm-hmm. You don't need to be an engineer or a coder, and I think Hatem made that point, to understand artificial intelligence. Have that ability to have that mindset of challenging the status quo and understanding the use cases of AI that can actually make your life easier, your customer's life easier, or actually advance your company's innovation agenda. So confidence with content, where AI can play a very, very critical role. Second, I would say is humbleness, but with curiosity. So in today's world, no one has all the answers.
Yeah.
And no one also knows all the questions, because it's more important to ask the right question than to know the right answer, right? ChatGPT can give you all the answers, but what would you ask ChatGPT, right?
Yeah, true.
So
it's a good point.
That means I have to be humble and I have to say I don't know it all. I also have to be humble and I have to surround myself with very smart people who are smarter than me. But then I also have to be curious to learn from those people. So that's why I say confidence with content and humbleness with curiosity. Then for me, technology, any technology, be it AI, blockchain, I see many of my clients would say, I have to use it because it's the hype, everyone is talking about it, right? But if you go back to what problem are you solving for, first of all, my grandfather used to say every problem does not need to be solved. Leave some as is. Starting from a customer, what problem needs to be solved, walking through that journey and then saying, okay, here is what I can do, leveraging AI, I can automate this. You know, we work a lot with SMEs, upskilling them. I can do that with AI, it's scalable. I can personalize upskilling an education program for SME, which I could not do it before. Mm-hmm. It's a small example, but it's just so powerful, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And that would help even those SMEs have the confidence because now they have the content.
That's true. But also when it comes to AI, there's also gender bias, which, I mean, it was in the headlines a couple of months ago now, but, a lot of people are saying it's due to a lack of rich data. That's why the AI was generating biased images. I mean, not just on gender only, but also race and ethnicity and stuff. What's your take on that? What was your reaction actually when you first saw this?
So I'm very passionate about it. I also did a keynote speech at one of the events about this, and I think Dr. Joy, whose book I recommend to everybody, Unmasked, it's great. There's so many models out there who are biased, not only when it comes to gender, which is probably more important in a region, but also race. I myself experiment with a lot of apps on the B2C part, but I also go back and understand what is the tech behind it. So I'll give you a very quick example. I was trying to do text to image conversion, and I gave a command which was 5 fintech CEOs talking about fintech in an audience who's very engaged and listening to them. It's an app where you give like very elaborative commands. And it showed me an image of 5 men in suits on a stage, right? Then I talked to it again and I said, 5 men and a woman fintech CEO. But can you believe it? They did not have a real image of a woman.
Really?
Yes, so I could see it that it was like, I don't know what you call it, but whatever, it's a sketch. It's not like a real human image. So I'm sure they've corrected it because I'm not the only one who told this to them. There was another research where when you input a job profession, nurse would always turn out to be a woman, a CEO would always be associated with a man or a lawyer. I think the good thing is that there's a lot of governance and awareness around it, and there's so many platforms for us to raise our voice. You have a voice, I have a voice. When I saw this, I went on to my LinkedIn profile, I wrote about it. I did not mention the app name, but I'm sure people who were reading about it knew what I'm talking about.
Definitely.
And I think it's all of us, our collective responsibility, not only our corporations, but us as leaders and individuals to talk about it. In today's world, we cannot underestimate our voice. It's powerful. All of us have it.
And we all have the platform now to do what we want with it. Well, unfortunately, we've run out of time, but are there any closing remarks or perhaps any advice for women who look up to you and one day want to take on a leadership role?
Well, I would say believe in yourself and just keep on telling yourself that you're amazing and surround yourself with people who would talk about you in a room when you are not there in a very positive, great way.
That's great advice. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was brilliant.